signifies death. Black.
It's like a period of mourning or something.
Mourning, satanic. So what I do, in terms of where they put on black, I put on white. Burials I have and in white to show them that no.
There are cultures in the world
If
actually who put on white on burial. I think to signify the purity, the soul.
May his soul rest in eternal peace. That was Muchibi Rollins of St. Rollins. He was very clear that you should wear white on my burial. Everything should be white. And I said yes, because thinking that our color, our skin, pigment being associated to that was very wrong. And I'm proud, I'm happy to say, thank you for wearing black for the right reasons.
Thank you.
You know, I'm very passionate about being an African. I'm proud to be an African. Now, going back to the weekend and what happened when we see our brothers and sisters in the medical fraternity saying, 1st August, we are laying down our tools unless we have intern doctors take over. Government has been very clear. For some reasons, much as the pre-medical interns have striked and many been arrested, put on patrols, then released and all that, government says they don't have the money. And actually they came out and told them, apply and you'll be posted to your place of desire, then facilitate yourself. When government gets the money, government is going to refund the money. Now the question is, how much can government refund? How are these were going to present receipts that I was sleeping at a house paying this, then I was spending this on that? It's a bit a hard issue right now as we speak, but yet it is needed. I want to tell you, in most of government hospitals, the doctors you see there doing all the work are intern doctors. Most of government hospitals. Now, with the absence of intern doctors, these other doctors find it very hard, because many of them, much as we would say there's much, many of them have their hospital, work in these hospitals, but also have side gigs.
They're multitasking.
They're multitasking to make ends meet. The time they are spent in the career, I don't know of a single doctor working in a public hospital that doesn't have a side gig. Go to Murago, all the consultants, they still have their own clinics where they work over the experience. And second, why intern doctors are saying pay us? For them, it's not like me and you when you were doing an internship. One, you had to choose. Previously, these people, it is government that posts them. And you go wherever they post you. Even if you studied in Kampala, government will post you in Moroto, in Kotido, and you have to go there. And for them, their intern is full-time. They're almost working 24/7. They're not like these other professions. And actually for them, intern, they're actually working. So government has not been paying them, but giving them an allowance for them to be able to pay rent, for them to be able to get some food, for them to survive. Some, I want to use the word that they use, some money, get it, to see them through. Now, first, they are not posted. Two, there is no money, because you can't post them when you don't have the money. So that is the challenge in the medical fraternity, that the many doctors we have there are overwhelmed. One, with the work itself.
Actually, I wouldn't use the word many, because there are also few, the few that are there
yes, the few that are there are overwhelmed. Then others have learned to manipulate the system. One time I went to Chirudu Hospital, and a friend of mine had had an accident through the Bikers Association, so it was the nearby hospital. So we rushed Eddie there, and we saw doctor on call. I think they call it doctor on call, something like that. And the doctors were not there. So I called someone and said, we are here, there are no doctors, this person has to go this. Said, no, the doctors are there. You know how government officials are very defensive. We have, that hospital has this. Said, yes, I see that doctors are there on paper, but practically they aren't. So he called, and in about 30 minutes, a doctor drove in very fast, who is so and so, and they worked on this patient, because the system allows them to have side gigs. And there is no way. Just imagine if you and me had another TV station that after here, and it's allowed that after here, you know, we have our other TV station, we still go and present other programs.
Yeah.
But you see, the media law is very clear that certain things you can maybe conflict of and all that. So medical fraternity have that. It's like the education sector also. That a teacher in a government school could be teaching in Nakasero Primary School, yet is the director of St. John's Primary School. It's allowed.
And they'll of course put their effort.
They'll put more royalty to there because they're building what is theirs.
Yeah.
And that is what we find in the medical fraternity. Working for government in a government hospital does not refuse or hinder you from having your own clinic somewhere else. So it is only intern doctors, they have not amassed that wealth, they have not gotten that exposure, that are very active. We have few doctors, but if we don't have this supporting team, very devoted young ones, because they're eager.
Absolutely.
And what hurts them most is they have now spent a year plus home. At times they should have gone for their intern. But remember, final on that, Sister Mollen, remember very well, they cannot practice medicine because it is after this internship that they are licensed now to begin their practice.
Yeah.
So now they're like they never went to school.
Well, we do know that
medical advice.
A lot of medical systems across the world actually do. The first thing they want to integrate is what you would call internship, that is residence, because it is through that medical residence that a doctor learns all this practice, and before you get to levels of being a fellow in medical practice, all these are levels that we know countries have integrated from the very inception. Once someone starts training for being a doctor at university level, the next thing is their residence, and once we know that is always a system that is integrated and a paid for system through the medical hospitals that the residents are attached to. So we do hope that as Uganda will move swiftly towards that, because we also know that with the increasing population, there are a lot of medical challenges that come with that, so meaning that the doctors that we already have obviously get overwhelmed in some of these hospitals. But Robert, something else that took my attention, it looks like when we talk about reducing accidents on the road, there are interventions that need to be done. And the State Minister for Transport did suggest that they will be putting, that is a system, government is planning to introduce an automated driver testing system in the forthcoming financial year, that is 2024-2025. And this is all geared to enable motorists to acquire driving permits with ease. That will be an auto system that does not require you to go through all these, protocol and probably third party, a lot of people that have to go through someone. This will help get fake drivers off the road, but also reduce accidents. Now, my whole concern was, I wish this was introduced this year. You're talking about the next year, but well, the will is there. And also, when we cross over to our neighbors in Kenya,
even before
I did get attached there.
You see, we were still talking about digital number plates.
Yeah.
Where are we? You said we postponed. We are not yet ready. We don't have the finances. We don't have the infrastructure needed to be in place. Now with that system of issuing driving licenses, Dubai has it, South Africa has it, most Asian countries have it, but are we ready?
We can't be ready, Robert.
Are we
because
ready?
If this is something that we
to do that,
you see whatever entities here submitting budgets, supplementary budgets, and they get what they need. This is something that concerns every Ugandan.
We are beginning to take in more than we can chew and swallow. You go to a function, there is turkey, there is camel meat, there is crocodile meat, there is goat meat and all this pork, and you want to have a piece of each. You put in your mouth at once. You fail to chew, you fail to swallow. So let's live one day at a time. you're trying to be everywhere,
first. We want to
and you
put
end up
life
being
first.
nowhere.
We know that having fake drivers on the
Well, if
road
it's putting life first,
is increasing on the accidents. So if we can find a way to actually, help the system, especially the fact that drivers can easily get driving permit or license, that would be something so good that we should take up. Regardless, if we need to put in a supplementary budget, please go ahead and do it. This is very concerning, I'm telling you.
we hope and pray.
I was talking about what is happening in Kenya. It looks like they could be looking at most of these demonstrations going on and on. But President Ruto did come out and say he's sending a very specific message and a warning to Raila, saying that he should stop spearheading these demonstrations as they are affecting citizens and they are bringing their economy back to zero. He says this is unacceptable and sends a very serious warning to Raila. But while Raila is just seated saying, no, I am not leading these demonstrations, these are Kenyans reacting to whatever you are doing in the seat. I did get puzzled. I feel like these two are always going to be colliding, but at the same time, you now have to take care of or to think about the Kenyans that are there having been pulled into these demonstrations and they are taking a toll on them. A lot of shops are closing, a lot of people cannot go on with business because of these demonstrations. And it seems like it has become a norm, especially with opposition and leading parties here in Africa. Keep seeing this, but we do hope that our friends in Kenya are able to resolve this and obviously bring in much more of what is needed, especially when it comes to leadership. We oftentimes have prided ourselves in knowing that Kenya has had, one of the best democracies. They have, been moving with quite a very good trend when it comes to their economy, and seeing that these riots or demonstrations could push them back, that is not something that you would expect Kenya to do. But also they have had good opposition when it comes to leading with deceptions by the government. We have seen over time Raila actually come out with suggestions and government working on them without demonstrations, except this time round. I think specifically ever since Ruto got into office, Raila seems to have been much more rigid this time, but he did not do that with Kenyatta.
There's a time where they had a marriage of convenience, and I think either Raila could be pushing for this once again, or looking at it very well, there's some kind of political legacy, and some of them may view Ruto, who doesn't come from that, because for some time Kenyan politics had been dominated by two families, and of course you have the Railas, you have the Kenyettas, and when they see this not anywhere within that also could be a problem. But they should borrow a leaf from Uganda. Uganda we've had, let me drive this one. You see, when someone constantly persists in creating mayhem in a country, these riots, one, scare away tourists, scare away investors, have a very big impact on the economy. Now, when we had such in Uganda, how are we able? What techniques? Kizza Besigye one time was there. Robert Kyagulanyi has not been so much on that, but Kizza Besigye, that man, I always credit him for having created some pressure. But he was later, neutralized.
I will need to bring in Felix here.
Electro-failures can become a problem.
I need to bring in Felix here and see what he thinks about that. A very good morning, Felix. Welcome back from the weekend.
Hi, how are you?
I am all right.
I like that hairstyle,
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I've been here trying to gaze at it and I'm thinking to myself, what is it called?
Well, I don't think that it specifically has a name, but being, being natural hair, like this is, I think they...
Is that what they call ponytail? Or not? I
think it's called Maria.
No, I'd rather go with a ponytail. Yeah.
Like there's a fashion where women, when you put
and in some culture they call chinagayaza.
The school. Yes.
Okay, can you move on to something other than hair?
No, with all this mayhem in Kenya, let me tell you something. It's simply, Kenyan politics is interesting. William Ruto was an ally to the man they call Baba, Raila Odinga. And he was the technocrat on how to give problems to the government in power. Ruto, that Ruto man you see. Now, things changed and Ruto came to with Kenyatta, they formed Jubilee. Now, Ruto left and Raila Odinga and Kenyatta got together. Azimio la Umoja. Now, it is just, these people know each other so well. And trust me, whatever they are doing to each other, they know how to.
But the only concern is that now it's affecting Kenyans, and we're seeing much more of these demonstrations that are really uncalled for.
It's evident of any growing democracy. It's
Well,
not strange. We have been there, we are probably still there. Unfortunately, whenever people don't respect the spaces of democracy,
some of the things are bound to happen.
that's the thing. 5 years, for example, and for us, we thank God that we have taken, I think, the longest time without a riot. For whatever is happening, that's why I think Robert was saying that we clearly
do have a huge share of what has been happening in opposition.
I'm
but a lot of stories
that since
as
the
well.
elections up till today.
A lot of stories going on across the country.
Do you remember the work of drones?
We'll also be going through our local stories, and then later we'll also go into the international stories. Robert, what do we have on the local scene this morning?
Let me begin with the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, who warned coordinators of the parish development model against extortion of money from beneficiaries. Nabanja emphasized that payment period of parish development model of funds is of 2 years, as recently directed by the President. She sounded this during the homecoming of Muslims who had returned from the holiday journey to Mecca, where she emphasized careful enterprise selection for parish development model.
Well, in local stories still, we'll be looking at the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, who urged the leadership of the Association of Secondary Schools Head Teachers of Uganda to mobilize their members to change the quality of schools in the country. Now, the Minister for Education and Sports was meeting an 8-member Head Teacher Association executive led by the National Chairperson, Brother Augustine Mugabe.
And now going to church, the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, His Grace Paul Semogere, said lack of faith among Christians is the main cause of human killings worldwide. He emphasized the need for adoption of righteous behavior that would please God. In a message delivered on his behalf by the Archbishop Augustine Kasuja during the Uganda Matters High School at Lubaga Open Day, the Archbishop Semogere urged individuals to draw inspiration from the martyrs who sacrificed their lives for their religion at a young age.
The Uganda People's Defense Force is eliminating a number of combatants belonging to the Allied Democratic Forces that follows the recent attack in Lubirira Secondary on the night of the 16th. Now resulting in the tragic death of at least 37 students and the destruction of the school dormitory. The commander of the Mountain Division Operation Shuja, Major General Dick Olum, has disclosed that the joint forces of UPDF and forces Ahmed de la Republique Democratic du Congo are relentlessly pursuing the remaining ADF attackers in Mwarika Valley.
In terms of the international stories, well, in South Korea, rescuers working to reach vehicles trapped in a flooded tunnel near South Korean city of Cheongui have recovered 9 bodies. Floodwaters caused by days of torrential rains poured into the underpass so quickly that passengers and drivers were trapped in their cars, unable to escape. At least 37 people have died in total after flooding, landslide and power cuts across much of the country. 9 people are still missing, and it is unclear how many people are still trapped in the 685-meter-long tunnel in the town of Osong, but 15 vehicles are thought to be submerged. Several of the bodies were recovered from inside a bus, and 9 survivors were rescued on Saturday. Now, Twitter has lost almost half of its advertising revenue since it was bought by Elon Musk for $44 billion last October, its owner has revealed. He said the company had not seen the increase in receipts that had been expected in June, but added that July was a bit more promising. Mr. Musk sacked about half of Twitter's 7,500 staff when he took over in 2020 in an effort to cut costs. Rival app Threads now has 150 million users, according to some estimates. Its inbuilt connection to Instagram automatically gives the Meta-designed platform access to a potential 2 billion users. And now looking at the European Union and Tunisia having signed a memorandum of understanding for a strategic and comprehensive partnership aimed at combating irregular immigration and boosting economic ties between the bloc and the North African country, which lies on a major road for migrants and refugees traveling to Europe. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni held a renewed talks with Tunisia's President Kais Saied on Sunday as the number of migrants and refugees departing from Tunisia and trying to reach Europe has significantly increased in the recent months. And in climate news, scorching weather is gripping 3 continents, wiping up wildfires and threatening to topple temperature records. Predictions of historical heat hang over the swath of Asia, Europe and the United States on Sunday. In the Vatican, 15,000 people braved sweltering temperatures to hear Pope Francis lead prayer using parasols and fans to keep cool. But in their back robes, priests like Francis Mbemba said they were sweating like hell. The 29-year-old said it felt hotter in St. Peter's Square than in his Democratic Republic of Congo diocese. Well, quite a number of stories going on around the country and of course internationally, but we also have headlines in our dailies. Felix, what are we looking at this morning?
In the big headlines, we'll be looking at questions as army move to private security deals. Now, of course, a couple of questions will be asked. Well, we did see the National Enterprise Corporation, which is the commercial arm of the UPDF, came out to say that they will be venturing in that business now. Rise of women in Oyam political space and coming to terms with the autism diagnosis. Of course, also still in the papers, now smuggling soars as East Africa economy wobbles.
And later on, we'll also be looking at much more of those papers. But for now, we will be taking a short break, getting to the inspiration song of the day. When we get back, we'll be going into our newsreel where we do have a discussion that we also want you to be part of. So do stick around and join us then. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
July is almost ending, if you ask me. It's like it's getting us to December pretty close. I don't know, something about this month that is rushing. I don't know whether it's trying to make us guilty, on especially the people who had made New Year's resolutions and we thought would be done by mid-year. But it is now July and you think, okay, it's just July. Then before you know it, it is moving pretty fast. But well, we want to welcome you back from the weekend. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and we will be giving you a lot more what is happening across the country and beyond. And make sure we can get you into Monday warm-up a little bit. And of course, take away the Monday blues. Well, a lot is happening in this country. And I think mostly something that got my concern is the leadership of the Medical Association coming out to say that they will be holding a general strike and possibly laying down their tools by 1st of August, all because they are not getting the help that they should be getting from the medical interns that should be helping out in the hospital. Now, we have seen a lot of strikes related to the medical sector this year. I mean, first it's the medics striking about something, then the non-medics, then the interns, then it's a lot. It's like this particular sector is always striking for something. I don't know. Does this mean that, you know, they should be the sector that is focused on most, or they are simply also just normal Ugandans trying to fight for their rights, and especially when it comes to work? But I do have Robert with me here in the morning, probably something that also did to get him concerned as we move into Monday. Good morning, Robert.
Wow, I love the black.
Oh, thank you.
I hope
Thank
it's
you
for
so
the good
much.
reason.
Yeah, it is. Black is a good color for me, so.
You know, there are some Africans I don't concur with who are brainwashed to think that black signifies death, black...
it's like a period of mourning or something.
Mourning, satanic. So what I do, in terms of where they put on black, I put on white. Burials I have and in white, to show them that no.
There are cultures in the world
If you
actually who
thought-
put on white on burial. I think
and
to
actually there is
signify
one
the purity, the
gentleman,
soul.
may his soul rest in eternal peace. That was Muchibi Rollins of St. Rollins.
July is almost ending, if you ask me. It's like it's getting us to December pretty close. I don't know. Something about this month that is rushing. I don't know whether it's trying to make us guilty, on especially the people who had made New Year's resolutions and we thought would be done by mid-year. But it is now July and you think, okay, it's just July. Then before you know it, it is moving pretty fast. But well, we want to welcome you back from the weekend. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and we will be giving you a lot more what is happening across the country and beyond. And make sure we can get you into Monday warm-up a little bit. And of course, take away the Monday blues. Well, a lot is happening in this country, and I think mostly something that got my concern is the leadership of the Medical Association coming out to say that they will be holding a general strike and possibly laying down their tools by 1st of August, all because they are not getting the help that they should be getting from the medical interns that should be helping out in the hospital. Now, we have seen a lot of strikes related to the medical sector this year. I mean, first it's the medics striking about something, then the non-medics, then the interns, then it's a lot. It's like this particular sector is always striking for something. I don't know. Does this mean that, you know, they should be the sector that is focused on most, or they are simply also just normal Ugandans trying to fight for their rights, and especially when it comes to work? But I do have Robert with me here in the morning, probably something that also did to get him concerned as we move into Monday. Good morning, Robert.
Wow, I love the black.
Oh, thank you.
I hope
Thank
it's for
you
the
so
good
much.
reason.
Yeah, it is. Black is a good color for me, so.
You know, there are some Africans I don't concur with who are brainwashed to think that black signifies death, black...
it's like a period of mourning or something.
Mourning, satanic. So what I do, in terms of where they put on black, I put on white. Burials I have and in white, to show them that no.
There are cultures in the world
If you
actually who
thought-
put on white on burial. I think
and
to
actually there is
signify
one
the purity, the
gentleman,
soul.
may his soul rest in eternal peace. That was Muchibi Rollins of St. Rollins.
July is almost ending, if you ask me. It's like it's getting us to December pretty close. I don't know. Something about this month that is rushing. I don't know whether it's trying to make us guilty, on especially the people who had made New Year's resolutions and we thought would be done by mid-year. But it is now July and you think, okay, it's just July. Then before you know it, it is moving pretty fast. But well, we want to welcome you back from the weekend. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and we will be giving you a lot more what is happening across the country and beyond. Let's make sure we can get you into Monday warm-up a little bit and, of course, take away the Monday blues. Well, a lot is happening in this country, and I think mostly something that got my concern is the leadership of the Medical Association coming out to say that they will be holding a general strike and possibly laying down their tools by 1st of August, all because they are not getting the help that they should be getting from the medical interns that should be.
2020 awo basobola okuba nga batuwaayo ebyenanda emitwalo $40 okuva mu operation werese creation. Era okuba yongerezaako emmere yatuweebwa okuva Uganda Poultry Breeders. Twasobola okuba nga tusoloza akasente akawerera obukayire nga 42. Twasobola okuba nga tubuinvestinga oba okubona nti twongerezaako ku bimu ku bintu bye tukola gano bebaza gavumenti yaife okuba nga buli saawa efaayo okuba nga efeeri y'Abannayuganda.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. His reason is to be the GOAT. The reason to imagine is to take the beat and make it lit. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're just being a part of this, we're looking at our newsreel this morning. And we'll specifically be looking into the issue of medicine in this country, specifically looking at the doctors who have now said that they will be laying down their tools starting 1st of August. All in the move to request that the medical interns be deployed in hospitals. Now, according to the Secretary General of the Uganda Medical Association, he did say that this has strained the medical institution, and he says that not only the practicing doctors, but everyone within the medical department will be laying down their tools if the issue of medical interns is not looked into specifically, if their deployment is not carried on. And also, you do look at the fact that we're also looking at medical interns that are coming out to say, we did see one of the leaders also coming out to say that they did have a lot of anticipation getting into medical practice, and they're not seeing returns on this investment specifically. And he says that it is important that government deploys them into hospitals so that they also get to practice what they actually studied. And you also want to encompass in there, where does that leave our medical hospitals? Where does that leave, practice in medicine? Because we know that even the numbers that are there right now, without the interns, these are being overwhelmed. And we know that doctors, we did hint on it this morning, these are people that we have known over time, they do multitask. And, they are consultants at this hospital, a main doctor in some other hospital, and all this has been possible with the interns there and, the residents that are always in the practice. But if this is to be taken away, or if doctors were to say, okay, we're now laying down our tools like they're saying by 1st August, this will have to take a very, very huge toll on our medical sector. And this is where we want to focus our discussion this morning. I'll be bringing in Robert here to talk specifically about the, the pending issue or the medical interns. It's not the first time that we're looking at this particular topic, especially the fact that they did come out earlier to also demonstrate, and they said we're going to go on strike. They actually did go on strike. Ministry promised that they're working on their deployment, but this has not been done up to now. Where is the problem there?
First, we must know that of all rights, much as they're all equal, the right to life is fundamental, and the right to health should be. Of course, globally, we have what we refer to as public or government hospitals and private hospitals. But in third world countries, like Felix usually says, developing countries, a number of people cannot afford private hospitals, because much as these treat, their aim is all about profit making. Yes, saving lives, but profits, because if they're not making profits, that facility will close. Now, majority of Ugandans go to public hospitals, and we know that still health facilities in public hospitals are not the best. But they have no alternative. That's where they will go to. And still we know that many public hospitals where we have very willing people to work have done great. People who have fallen sick at Chirudu, Morago, and all that, and they have these experts, and these people recover. There's so much. There are many people who are born in these hospitals. There's so much that they have been able to do. Of course, the failures notwithstanding. Now, even in public hospitals, why these doctors are bringing up the intern issue is, globally, World Health Organization recommends 1 doctor per 1,000 patients, such hospitals. Uganda, it's 1 doctor per 25,000 patients. You still see that we are far below the belt in terms of staffing doctors or nurses. Now, with that problem that many people who have fallen sick in these hospitals have met, where sometimes you don't have the doctor to attend to you. Now, those that have been attending to them have been these interns. What are we talking about? These are people who finished medicine. They studied it very well. They completed, but they have a year of practice. Practice as doctors that are on call, and I want to use the word 24/7. Then after, they are given a practicing license. Now, without this internship that you hear them crave for, they cannot get a license to work in a clinic, to work in any hospital, government or private. Neither can they continue to the next level of education. Because someone will say, okay, if you already have your degree in medicine, bachelor's in medicine, then maybe this time someone can upgrade, but they cannot even upgrade. So it is more or less like the years they spent studying medicine, now the year plus they have spent home without their deployment, that they are not doctors, because they, apart from giving some information, somewhat, and knowing what should be done, but they're not recognized. You can't hire them. You know, they can't even go outside Uganda to present this document that they are medics, either to upgrade and do anything. So these brothers and sisters of ours are frustrated. Now, the doctors are saying this is a force that our health system has for long been built on. They are supporting them for the longest time. This is our health system has been running. You have Dr. Felix Nkunda, a senior doctor on call. Then you have Dr. Mollen Kenyena, an intern doctor. So what happens is...
That's a very big feature.
No way.
Well, what happens is
This is who you should be on a day.
the most of what you know
what
in
you did
Uganda,
right there.
patients, anyone is musawe.
Yeah.
Doctor. The most doctors attending to you in these private, public hospitals are intern doctors. And they're, because the zeal, the eagerness, they treat you. And they will come. I am but the towel, put on the doctor's coat, this thing, and they are very, actually, even because they're young and they're passionate, those people who are saying, this doctor was very good to me. The doctor asked, how am I doing? Because they are on more of training. Now, without them, what does it mean? Already, we are understaffed as a nation in our public health systems. Now, without them, the situation is worse. And we must accept the likes of Dr. Felix, who has been in practice for 7-10 years, now has a private clinic. And there is no law that refuses Dr. Felix Nkunda, working in Mulago, to have a private hospital. And now what they have done, they like we unite, if you're all doctors here, then you'll find doctors' clinic. So they form an enterprises, a group of them, those that cannot do it on a single basis. So most of the doctors that have spent in practice some time own private facilities, and they'll just give a bit of what they can. You go
Which
to a
is
hospital,
actually not something bad, because
Which
it's business, but it also helps to, expand the health system.
yeah, it helps expand the health system, but on one way, one would say also it deprives those that would be benefiting from these doctors. But it's not illegal, so they can go ahead with it. Because there are times they will tell you, doctor, you from this time to this time, then he goes to his clinic. And there are doctors have gone to, most consultants, they will tell you, if you want to meet him at Mulago, it is this amount. But if you want, you can go to his clinic, where you pay more, but there are less people, you get it, and you worked on very fine. So he's here from this time up to this time. Then you run to his clinic. Now, when you have such issues, actually here, away from the intern doctors, the pre-medical interns who are suffering, being home with no hope, you strike, you've been beaten, you've been put on patrols, and they're still telling you we are working. And the worst was this statement, Mollen, that really I didn't understand. Government came up and told the intern doctors that those of you who can't afford these pre-intern doctors, those of you who can't afford, apply hospitals where you want to go and do your medical internship. We'll accredit you there. Then use your own money, because Ministry of Health or government provides them some allowance to cater for their rent, to cater for a bit of food, to cater for some of the things to see them running. Now, you use that money. When government gets money, we are going to refund you what you have used. So, many of them say, now for us who can't afford, we know today educating a medical student is very expensive. General education is expensive, but when it goes to these sciences, educating a medical student is damn expensive. Now, if a parent is told again that now for this particular area where your child is going, look for more money now to pay rent, to feed them, to do this for a period of another 1 year, what does it mean for those that are not able? And I want to thank them under their association that they seem to have said, let's all agree to say no until government finds this amount of money to enable us go for our practice. Because right now, yes, they are home, but also the health system is far stretched with the few doctors we have, and coupled with other challenges that come with these senior doctors.
Very, very well said. We want you to also be a part of this conversation. To our viewers, you can get to us, that is on social media. Our social handle is at UBC TV Uganda, but also using the hashtag UBCGMU, or you can get us on our WhatsApp or send us an SMS on the number 0709 602 592 and be part of this conversation. We're talking about medical interns in the country, and also the fact that general that the medics are saying that they could hold a general strike starting 1st of August, all intended for government to deploy these interns. But we want to stretch it further and look at the whole general view of our healthcare system in this country, and this goes on the side of government as well. We have not paid enough attention, clearly, because this has stretched on months and months, and I'll be bringing in Felix here to talk about how far we have gone, especially when it comes to our health system here. And continuously we're seeing government putting efforts into making sure that we have a better health care. But without, without this much input into the doctors or the men and women that are actually practicing medicine and making sure they're saving lives, our efforts are all going in vain, because we're continuously going to see these things happening. How do we curb the vice, both from the medical practitioners and to the government side?
Well, I think it all starts with at the point where of inception. Relating to healthcare in the country, we need to understand what answers the big question. What is our appreciated standard when it comes to healthcare? What can't we go below? You get the point. Have we set a standard given that below this we shall not be able to go there? This whole story of medical interns has been a consistent discussion here and for the whole country. But even when these discussions are made, we have a point, like Robert has given you one example. At some point, even the ministry came out to say that there is not much we can do. But previously, His Excellency also came out and made a promise towards healthcare practitioners. But what I'm saying is, what is our will? How big is our will towards this thing of healthcare? Do we see some positive will? In this country we see a great contestation between priorities that are political versus survival or administrative, for that matter. Now, this whole aspect, for example, and sadly, you realize that this has no given indifference, whether it is opposition or government in power or what. Let's take an example. Today, when you have medical interns not deployed, shouldn't it be a matter of national concern? That should be also checked vis-a-vis the amount of, you can choose to look at, say, accidents in the country. You look at the happening accidents, emergency cases, and the various diseases, malaria, vis-a-vis the need for medical personnel in these hospitals. Probably we should now try and justify why it should be a matter of national importance. That we can stop any other business. If you're still struggling with maternal health and you still have, last time they gave us statistics here looking at a taxi on a daily. If you still lose people that much, women giving birth in the country, you still have challenges of malaria. Last time we're celebrating, I think, something to do with malaria. You have all these accidents every day. The emergency wards are full. You still have challenges of what we call chronic illnesses. The cancer rate is shooting up there, diabetes, hypertension. Those should be the true justification as to why this should be a matter of national importance and concern. But what is being done today? The opposite is the truth. That in as much as these people are coming out to say all these things, who cares? Should it really be coming from the senior doctors to raise concern? There's a full ministry. There's a parliament. There's cabinet. All these institutions should look at some of the reasons I've given you, that with the increasing number of cases of maternal fatalities, you look at the challenge of, we still, like last time the report that came out, how many people had died in accidents who are in hospitals. If you still have a great population that struggles with just nutrition. It means that the kids who get sick out of poor feeding and all these other things, the rise in chronic illnesses. Go to the Cancer Institute here. Go to the Heart Institute. Go and look at this diabetic. Those should be the reasons. Now, if our leaders don't see that this is a matter of national concern, there's this great analogy and belief in political science that and I think for us that has been a major focus. In as much as you focus, even when you focus on peacifying the borders of the country, because the reason why we spend a lot, for example, like we are in Congo, we are everywhere, Somalia, the reason why we spend a lot there is to avoid those attacks that kill Ugandans, to avoid these bad people from killing Ugandans. But what good does it do when they are not killing Ugandans, but we are killing our own selves, or we are dying anyway? It will make news when ADF attacks the school and they kill there were about 50 something?
37.
37. Okay? It will make news. But because this doesn't make news, that every week probably we are losing this amount of women giving birth. And that is consistent. It becomes consistent because it will happen again and again and again. But our focus, we are going to spend humongous, because the rebels hit somewhere and certain whatever died. But there's a consistent number here in. So which is worse? A threat to Ugandans? Because if you're supposed to look at terms of proportionality, which is causing more threat to life and survival? Is it the rebels or a poor health system? I don't know if we get.
Of course, one may argue that even if you have a good health system and there are guns flying everywhere,
and the reverse is the truth.
People will not run.
And so whoever says that, tell them the reverse is the truth. That what's the use of having a pacified border and people dying internally? It's a potato situation. So as we think of all those other important, but however, one would tell you that, and that's what I say every day, one has a greater hidden agenda of political stance. Trust me, today, if there was a way how medical health care system determines someone's political stay on power, it should be the most funded.
Because here we are looking at an excuse, much as His Excellency is calling for people to engage in sciences, we are looking at a number of about 1,364 interns. Now, through our health system, these interns make 60% of the human resource in our health system. And previously, each medical intern was getting 2.5. That is for accommodation and meals. Now they're saying this time around, this is a huge number.
Who are
if
saying?
Government, according to the PS, Dr. Diana Twine, who came up and said, those that can, please help yourselves out. We shall disburse this money when money comes from the Ministry of Finance. That the number seems also very big, contrary to what government is allocating to Ministry of Health. And also there have been some budget cuts here and there. So they don't have the money for this huge number to be deployed, because it's not all about saying we've deployed you to Guru, because how they do this medical intern.
But Robert, if you're bringing in numbers, I think also the point that we're trying to bring across is that while you say the numbers are big, there is also an increasing number in the patients throughout everything that he was talking about. You do have accidents on a daily that are bringing in more numbers in casualties. So meaning that we still need this.
It's what he said even earlier in his submission. The doctor-patient ratio is still
low.
Wanting.
And this particular group constitutes of 60% of the human resource.
Now, let me also add this to what you're saying. And I'm not certain such a statement even can come out of a doctor. Because Diana Twine is a doctor, I understand. She must have gone through all these drills. She knows what it means. When you start saying that the money is too much,
They don't have the money.
That doesn't make the money too much. Not having the money doesn't turn the money
Because
to
you have a
become
big
too much.
number, will that
Now,
require
the
quite-
problem is now not the interns.
No.
The problem is the leaders who can't find ways to get the money.
And it's
'Cause that's
not,
the purpose of
this
leadership.
issue has been there. It's not like it just fell out of the blue. Even before they passed the budget, we already had issues with the medical
The
interns.
medical interns, I
So
don't
why
remember,
isn't
in May,
ministry, the question
petitioned the
would
Speaker
still
of
be,
Parliament. And I saw receive a petition from them on this very issue, go to the floor of Parliament, say some bit of... now they went to court, they have decided to go to
while
court.
you're at it, Felix, because we do
I
understand
don't
that
even
this
think
is
court
an
will help
issue.
them.
This is an issue that we are still looking at governance.
Absolutely.
Because at the same
There's no
time,
doubt.
we know that ministry is supposed to be planning for this. While they have, a budget restrained or very small, but what are they doing, especially in that very particular focus? And I'm glad you brought up such statistics, saying that 60% is internship. Now, as a ministry, then you should be focusing on that 60%.
That 60, because it's above the half of the percentage. And that's what I was saying, sadly. The reason why I brought in all these examples of the rebels and what, and I can give you very many others. For example, expenses on comfort of government officials. Comfort. You understand? The most expensive investment in this country is corruption. You can't wait, and this is what I think this is one of the reasons you see strikes after strikes. You can't wake up and say we don't have money for these ones, but we have money for someone to go and market Uganda. What are you going to market?
Exports.
Huh?
We are looking at
Who's
hunting
exports?
for market
Who's exports?
of what we produce so that we increase our exports. That's why we look for a budget better, so that the more we sell, we have more money and we'll be able to pay the interns. We export what we have.
So it's a dilemma and a very painful one, guys. And every time we come here to talk about such things, you feel sorry for a poor Ugandan who works in a hospital, needing, because everyone who goes to hospital, they have a need. No one goes to hospital for adventure. By the time someone carries themselves, some people just even walk. People come from and you sit there 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week, and they pass on. Now, that is a very sad, and it happens as we speak today. I was privileged to do a case, the case of Sehad Uganda versus the Attorney, and 3 others versus the Attorney General. But the findings in that case, it was litigation in relation to the right to health. But the things you will find, women are left to die on the floors of hospitals because there are no. It is sad. And that anything to do with saving life should be the first on agenda for discussion. And it shouldn't be politicized. Well, there's nothing to do with, we don't, but we must. It's unfair. In fact, there are statements that come from leaders that are very unfair, because we say you want life for yourself and other people. What makes you think other people don't want this life? Actually, some statements shouldn't even be said. You rather keep quiet. But this braggant, and secondly, what is the contribution of government to medical education? Do they have a contribution? That should be the next balance. That how about we create a space? Because as I've told you,
this is what the interns were saying, and it's no wonder they came out with a statement like there is no return on this investment. They are actually getting themselves through the whole education system to becoming doctors.
At their cost, yes.
At their cost. And they expect that now they are going to be practicing as interns, because it is still practice. Government should come in and help out. And this is something that I'll be bringing in Robert about. And before we also move to that, there is someone from South Sudan here, Petia Sulaiman, who says, I want my brothers and sisters in the medical interns to agree on the option that government is giving. If it means cost sharing, sharing the burden, please go for it. It means that if it means that you're sharing wards with patients or eating katogo to complete the internship, go for it. And he says in his country, South Sudan, they carry their own cross like that. And this is something that we also did hear statements from leadership, some leaders saying that the interns should be able to help themselves through this process, such that government can come in at a later stage, but for now, let them find their means and their ways of doing internship like anybody else. And this is still something that we are looking at. The possibility of that happening. Are we putting too much pressure on the side of government, that even at the internship level, we want them to come in right away? What are the possibilities there?
Well, I just want to help my brother and give him some bit of information. There's a difference between the internship we do and the internship that medical personnel do. How different is it? One, this is how it has been done. That government looks at the whole group of internships, then they have a way of selecting. Mollen, it is not like you who say, I want to do my internship at UBC. For the medical interns, government posts you. You can be born here, studying here, and they post you in Moroto, Kotido. Remember, one of my cousins is called Dr. Tim Sentongo. Grew up here and was posted in Karamoja to do medical internship. So for them,
and you must go. And you must go for you to attain that license.
Then second, for them, it's not like you're going to come and do internship here for a particular time, then go away. For medical interns, I want to emphasize and repeat this. It's a 24/7 role. Your doctors, you're supposed to be there. You can't have side gigs. For them, you're supposed to be there 24/7. Anytime, medical interns, they're supposed to be there. So that's why they require pay contract to other professions. Then second, when government comes out through the PS and says, you know what? Those that can, I remember these were the words, those that can bring where you want to do your intern, we certify that, go and do your internship. Then when government gets money, we shall pay you the money that you spent. Now, this is selective, because when you say those that can, there are those that can't. What does that mean to them? You know? What does that mean? It means they have been left out. There's a procedure that has been followed for years and ages, that even the doctors today in Ministry of Health went through that. That after government has been doing this, let's look at a parent who is paying school fees. Let's look at this young boy, this young girl who has been hunting for tuition. Now when they are doing internship, they're not able to find other means of collecting money to sustain them, unless you're telling them to go and get money from the patients to be able to raise their stay in hospital. But finally, let's not have these children, these students, lose hope. Because Mollen, we all went through school. You don't know what it means. You just can't imagine what it means to finish doing your medicine course. Then, you know you're going for internship, and it's now 1 year plus. You're seated home,
practice, yeah.
You don't know what your next fate is. These young children, their parents, the levels of depression, the levels of pain, that Felix, you finish, now you have to go to Law Development Center, and you can't go there, you know, to do a bar course. These students, the pre-medical interns we are talking about, cannot even upgrade to a next level of education, because cannot be employed anywhere, because government officials will be moving and asking for qualifications. You're in one's pharmacy, you're in one's clinic, but you're not a doctor, because this is one thing that you must have for you to have your practicing license. Unless ministry is going to say that now we are going to issue this practicing license to these people. But still, this year is very important, so that they can continue and now work or go ahead and upgrade. But the situation now entirely lies on government. It is very segregative to say those that can, you apply. Now we're in the same class doing medicine. Mollen, your family can. Then for you go ahead, then they license you, you become a medical doctor. Robert, my family can't. You know, why would we go to this extreme?
So that probably will not be working and cannot work, because you need to streamline a uniform mode of teaching in that regard.
And when will the reinforcement come?
We do have someone else here coming in to say specifically on Felix's submission, saying that most of them have offered the course because of a loan system. So yes, stating that those who can afford to fund themselves, that is something that might not happen and will be frustrating. That adds to what Felix was saying. But also we need to look at a way forward here. We know that they are still making a call, and now the medical doctors have come out to say that they will be laying down their tools starting 1st August. This is just a few days from now. We could be looking at a possibility of that happening, but we also need interventions that will be helping in this situation, because them putting down tools doesn't mean that people will stop getting sick. We'll still have people that are sick and need medical attention. How do we find a balance in this time?
Well, I think the best balance is government to look for money, either through supplementary or whatever, but they should look for the money. For me, I think it's a straight head-on. But also, secondly, I think we need to revise our essential workers. Let me borrow that word. Honestly and truly, everyone studying what we call a service-based education, they should be entirely free. Why would a person who's going to... Because the catchment is this: a doctor. Look at the things that you need most. You need a doctor, you need a civil engineer, you need a nurse, you need midwives. Why don't you put up a scheme for people to study for free? Why are they paying tuition? Let's leave, if someone has qualified, you put that if someone gets these points, S6 and these combinations, introduce on this pressure. Because we are in the need. You're struggling with bringing here Chinese to make roads, you're bringing Italians, you're bringing Israelis, when there is Chambo. But you would be engineers aware, bali mukuzanya ludo in extensions of cities. Because of what? Facilitation.
And actually these science courses are the most expensive.
They are most expensive
for a parent to pay. The tuitions.
Can you even pay? You know, and this thing. By the way,
not to mention that currently even the ones that got loans, government is saying they are going to find a way to retrieve these loans.
You understand?
So meaning that they still have dates to pay to government.
In fact, let me tell you without fear of a doubt, some of us who went to school, we thank God. Because you also don't know how we went through school. You can't sit back and work, you know, here, mommy paid, daddy paid, mommy paid. You can't. It was education in Uganda. If you ever get past some sensible education, because not everything is education. You study today, you become a lawyer, you are an advocate, you do a master's, you do a PhD. You should glorify God. Because if you put together the amount of money you have spent, it's over billions and millions of money. How many Ugandans can afford that money? But government can afford that. Other governments are doing it. You get into partnerships. For example, for the accountants, there are big firms internationally which recruit. Get them into some of these partnerships to help. There are funds. There are so many stiff individuals who are academias, but where are they? When they open up some of these scholarships, we had State House has scholarships, Ministry of Education, whoever knows about these things. We are told that Ministry of Education here almost gets hundreds and hundreds of scholarships. I don't know if you've ever heard of any, or Mollen, or you know someone who has benefited. Where I studied, we used to have a very big number of people on State House scholarships. But you don't see, it was a group of particular. Let's be fair, that's what I'm saying. Let's see this fairness. Even in practice, by the way, this is unfair because some are not benefiting. But if everyone, that's what I've always said in this country, let's stop thinking about ourselves. There's a statement one time this lady made. Remember when they used Bad Black to do an advert in COVID? Some awareness. She made a statement today morning. She's called Sharita Namuyimbwa. She said, I think that failed to pay her money. He said, for me, don't tell me that nonsense of yours. Your children are having sausage, what? Having a good time. How about mine? What will they eat? And that's the feeling of many Ugandans. Yeah. Because you can afford to take your kids to the Oxfords, the Harvards, to do medicine there and probably get employed. But there's a poor Felix Kirabo Mollen who has struggled. Because Mollen is smart, let's send Mollen. By the way, it's not a joke when people say we have sold land. They're not joking.
Parents sell land.
People sell a vibanja, and the only thing that remains with is their house. Like they don't have a veranda. Yeah. But why? For Mollen to go and be a doctor. Because the belief is that this Mollen will be the shining star. What happens? Now, that shining star today is being crushed. Being beaten, trying to take petitions to parliament. Why do you want to make people's children beggars? Why are you making us beggars in our own country? Everyone is begging. Eh? Every sector, people have become beggars. But why? At the hand of very few people who cannot plan very well for it. You have a full ministry. What are they doing?
They forward the budget.
To who?
To Ministry of Finance.
Those are all excuses.
Allocations.
What are the solutions they are giving?
If looking at the budget, there is no money.
Robert, there can never be enough. I've given you a very, in my previous discussion, I told you, it's about what we attach to be important. It is not enough for us to have
life is all about priorities.
It is not enough, Robert, to brag about a pacified borderline. But we are losing more people than the ones we lose in war. It means we are probably having our priorities wrong. It is useless to say we are going to stop the people who are killing Ugandans. But Ugandans are equally dying in big numbers. You get the point? So we must think bigger. That's the, you see, I don't excuse leaders. I don't take excuses from leadership. As a father, I can't sit there and say, "Mwana ngitasoma sente zibuze." That is your role. Any leader in this country, if His Excellency gives you leadership, take charge. Think bigger than big. I think our leaders are still jokers, because by the time someone comes up to say, we don't know what to do. Last time I think the spokesperson came out one time and said, we also...
There's a committee that was set up, then it was...
How can a leader come out to say, we also don't know what to do? Resign. Then people who know what to do come.
Because for them they expect...
No, money. Just go home. If you can't think, let the thinkers come. You go.
So meanwhile, if you can have the money, go and do this.
Okay. We are talking about people that are providing
service. Where parents have bought, have sold land. Kati, how are you telling them? Those who can. How about those who can't?
That is how...
So if you can't
the animal farm plays out sometimes.
Clearly, this is a very deep discussion. That
there are people who are willing to think and solve these problems. Don't just like they say, you can't stand in front of, if you can't assist, go. Let the other people come forward. No, this country, let me tell you, this thing has been
solutions
done.
To all
as you conclude, Felix.
When they get there, they fail to avail these solutions.
The big question is this, you see, once you've done something before, you can't tell me it has been done. What happened? So I don't believe, for me, I believe these are weak excuses. We must show up to the task.
Absolutely.
Ugandans are dying, they need helpers. Let's stop joking about medical health in this country.
We need to pay attention to what is happening in the country, and especially to these men and women that will be providing them or that actually want a chance to provide a service to Ugandans in terms of health care. And we do hope that throughout most of these discussions, or even paying attention to what the doctors are saying, is the first step to solving what seems to be troublesome right now. Before we head for 1st August, we could be looking at much more complications coming in as a result of that. But we'll leave it at that. We do hope that the responsible authorities are able to take this on. We want to look at what is happening with our neighbors in terms of our dailies today. crossing over to the Daily Nation, the big headline right there, a drinking nation inside Kenya's big alcohol problem. Well, that is also something to think about right there. They give you numbers, very worrying numbers. But also a week of protests. Will Ruto Raila's strike deal? It looks like that is something that a lot of Kenyans are waiting for, and to see that their issues are addressed and maybe this can get out of the way. But also looking at the Citizen this morning, we're looking at a big headline as well. 28% of adults have no retirement strategy. Well, that's quite interesting. Looking at analysts have called for brainstorming among relevant stakeholders to address the lack of retirement plans. How shillings 30 billion scheme will boost vanilla farming. That is also a story right there in the Citizen this morning. We'll be taking a short break. When we get back, we'll look at the traffic situation on the roads. We'll be going for a weather update. Later than that, we'll also be taking you through Good Morning Uganda agenda. Do stay with us.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. His reason is to be the GOAT. The reason to imagine is to take the beat and make it lit. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Amaina gange ndi namaganda Mariamu Monda myoga jaida emyoga ejitandika okwida nafunamu esente bampa yakakaira ke sente bwe bampa akakaira ke sente nayiye ekyokukola nasookera ku mutyere omutyere gwapanga beeyi naguvwako nanoonya omwana twageddaga n'amagezi nagema esente edo namuga yaje yagula supeya ow'ebyuma muno pikipiki ne obugaali guti saa eno ndi kuyiya okuleeta ebyuma ebimala ku bwena abakabiri bampaireyo ku esente nakoba okunoonya y'abaana babeegeresenga gano okukanika ki pikipiki era bali kujja mpolampola nga bakanika era esente bwe tunaaba tudifuna nenda kwongera mu maani mu sente bwenaaba ndifunye twongeremu ntewo bizinensi emala nenda okwebaza gavumenti egiira okutulowoozaako niife abagansi mu kyalo okufuna esente kuba twalinga n'esente nga tulumukira mu banka bugiri butige baida kunumba ngeno najjayo ku baida kunumba baida kutaaku bigandiiko aye dino tutwalayo mpolampola nenda okwebaza gavumenti olw'okulowooza ku nsonga eyo mukama abawa omukisa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda, and we'll be taking you through what is happening on the roads. We're looking at some of the roads this morning with quite some intense traffic that you might need to be aware of as you get your way into town. Now, looking at the side of all the way from off the Kampala Northern Bypass, we're looking at Kalere side where there seems to be quite some intense traffic indicated by the red lines over there. Now, if you're using that route of Kalere roundabout, that has quite intense traffic that you need to be aware of, that goes all the way up to the Mulago area, so that is one to look out for. But also you do look at some of the roads as well coming in from the northern bypass from Bwaise. You're looking at Sapolo Kagwa Road. You do have intense traffic off the roundabout, and that does connect to the Makere area, so that is also one that you should be able to be aware of. From Bwaise again, if you're continuing with Bombo Road, we also have orange lines there indicating quite some traffic, not very intense, but there is traffic there. It also goes up to the Mulago side where we're looking at least a very some kind of reduction when it comes to that traffic intensity. And also looking at the side of Kira, if you're coming in from that side, you have a bit of traffic that does build up as you join into Mulago as well. And that also goes for the roundabout. But also some of the roads connecting there, Binaisa Road also has intense traffic, a bit, most of that indicated by the orange lines up to that roundabout. Now also if you're continuing with off the Gayaza Road as well, you do have intense traffic from there. That is as you stretch all the way from Kalere side towards that roundabout on Gayaza Road, you do have traffic there. Bombo Road does clear as you head towards that roundabout going up to Wandegear. You actually have clear traffic over there. That is quite something that you could, a road that you could use this morning, looking at how the traffic situation is over there. But also from the Mulago area, which seems to be having some intense traffic, if you are to continue with Useful Lay Road, we are looking at a little bit of clear traffic, so that should be easy for you to navigate this morning as you're looking at how to make your way into town. Away from that, we'll also be tapping into our satellites and look at the weather situation this morning, looking over Uganda. We're mostly starting off with clear skies, that is across the northern part of the country, mostly starting off with already a sunny morning over there, and we're also tapping into some of the clouds that are starting to develop, that is towards the northern area. That will be bringing in a little bit of a mix of clouds and sunshine over much of northern Uganda, also for the Karamoja region, where we could be looking at a few pickups in wet weather activities, but also those will be very small intensities. Otherwise, we're looking at quite a very clear day for much of the country, mostly to the southern sector as well. We're looking at very sunny skies expected for this morning, and also this will equally contribute to the temperatures across the country. We could be seeing a warmer day for today and quite some scorching sun even expected throughout the afternoon. Now, as we continue to see most of this dry weather across the country, but also specifically we are still looking at increasing numbers in temperatures worldwide, and these are being linked to the El Nino event that is forecast to be happening this year, crossing over into 2024. We know that this has been associated with extreme events. Even right now as we speak, so far 3 continents that are already on alerts with heat waves. That takes in Asia, Europe, as well as America. And we know that there has been also fatalities related to this heat wave. Now, what we're experiencing in our country, we know that usually from June, July, August is a dry season, but we have been lucky enough to have these intermittent rains that do come in even when we are in a dry season. So our area here is not yet affected when it comes to that general heat wave that is perusing through a lot of continents, but we do know that still there are the same alerts that happen with increasing temperatures. So whenever it is dry weather, whenever there is this increase in temperatures, things that you should be looking out for. Stay away from the sun. If you must be outside, make sure that you're protecting yourself. The umbrella is not something that you carry only when it's raining. Even when there is scorching sun, you could choose to have that umbrella with you. Stay hydrated. Make sure that you have a bottle of water with you, or anything that can make you still, hydrated within dry conditions, just to keep yourself healthy. We know that also most of these heat strokes and heat-related issues could actually pose a very, very dangerous situation to your health. So you need to be looking out for yourself during that particular time. We will be leaving it at that. We also have Good Morning Uganda agenda, which will be coming in right after this. Robert is here with the team, and we'll be talking banking. Very, very interesting topic for you. You need to stay around for that. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a wonderful Monday.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say. Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles? So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21 hash, or use the My MTN app to start enjoying. Stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
City Market lies in 4 acres of land with a population of about 4,000 registered market vendors who are doing business in this facility. We really appreciate the initiative of the government to come up with this project that is benefiting not only the business community within the market, but the entire community within actually sub-region. When you look at the market previously, the market used to be not like this one. With the market vendors, they used to sell under papyrus reeds. And we used also to ferry our goods, come and sell, then you take it in the stores or elsewhere. But now, due to this infrastructural development, the vendors now, they are able now to sell, cover your goods, leave it there, and you come and get it the next day when it is safe. The safety of our goods and the convenience of doing business has improved greatly. That makes the local community very, very, very happy when they are doing business in the market now. I want to appeal to my fellow vendors and the community of the entire Chile sub-region that we need to embrace and support the government so that they continue also bringing us more development in our region.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. I'm Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono and this is Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Now, just a simple reminder, we are here from 6:30 every weekday, and what do? Is we brighten up, we spice your morning with some light moments, but also we bring in what is very, very informative, because we give you a general picture of what is happening locally and also internationally. You wake up knowing, of course, when you watch what is in the papers and so much. Not forget the sports updates as well. Now, in this particular segment, Good Morning Uganda Agenda, we usually have a guest in studios and we discuss issues of national concern. This morning, I don't know if you've ever heard of a cooperative bank. Well, those that have lived for some time will tell you the good old days when we had cooperative banks where our farmers were very sure that they could access cheap loans, were very sure they had a bank of their own. Now, so much went under the carpet and we lost that. Now, last week, government, and I want to be very specific, cabinet, came up with a proposal to establish a cooperative bank. And I don't have any other person that I feel is well-versed to discuss this than the man I named Cooperatives. And that is Ivan Asimwe, who happens to be the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Ivan, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much, moderator, and good morning, viewers. Good morning to everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I think within this 1 hour, we are going to learn more in respect to the cooperative bank. I'm happy.
Now, before we go to the cooperative bank, let's first understand, we have so many banks, but let's first understand this animal are called cooperatives. What are they?
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, my name is Ivan Asimwe, like we have rightly mentioned, and I'm the General Secretary of Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Uganda Cooperative Alliance is the umbrella or the apex body for all registered cooperative societies in the country. When we talk about the apex body, we mean the mother, the one that is on top. And the structure here in Uganda is that when you bring individuals together, a minimum of 30, they form what we call a primary cooperative. Like a SACCO is a primary cooperative. When you bring a minimum of 2 primary cooperatives, you form a secondary cooperative. Like Bugis Cooperative Union, Banyankole Kweterana, Lango Cooperative Union, Wamara, those are unions of secondary nature. Ukusku, which is Uganda Cooperative Savings and Credit Union, those are all secondaries. When you bring secondaries together, a minimum of 2, they form a tertiary. A tertiary, like Uganda Cooperative Transport Union, the members or the ones who form it are secondaries, and even some primaries are there. Then Uganda, you have like Uganda Central Cooperative Financial Services. That one is also tertiary. So when you bring all the secondaries together, plus the tertiaries, you form Uganda Cooperative Alliance. So it sits on top. Now, back to your question. A cooperative, by definition, is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their social, economic, cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. It is owned by members, controlled by members, used by members, and benefiting the members. That is why a cooperative is far different from a company. A company is where me and you, we sit, mobilize resources, register it with the Registration Services Bureau, and we start operations. But a cooperative is where a group of people, like the media fraternity, the farmers, the teachers, the army, you come together with a common understanding. You have a common enemy that you want to address. Then you say a minimum of 30. Let's come together. Voluntarily, nobody forces you. With a common bond, the common bond is where there is something in common. You are either farmers, you are teachers, whichever. Then you come together, agree, and then register a cooperative with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, office of the registrar. That is a cooperative. And while they say it is member-owned, used, controlled, and benefiting members, a cooperative ideally is based on those 4 pillars. And we usually get a problem with some Ugandans, especially the taxman. When a taxman is taxing a cooperative, his thinking is that a cooperative is a company, forgetting that it is member-owned, used, controlled, and benefiting members. Even accountants, I'm an accountant. Accountants have issues because in our curriculum, we do not study cooperatives. We study companies. And our understanding is that a cooperative is a company. And that one is a very big problem. And here I want to drive you into cooperative education. That requires a lot of capacity building. And I'm very happy with UBC. You are always hosting us here to really explain it to Ugandans the understanding of cooperatives. Because many people, when you talk about cooperatives, they think they are companies or they are groups or they are associations. No, a cooperative is a cooperative. It is based on an ideology. It's based on 7 principles. There are 7 international cooperative principles. 1, 2, 3, up to the 7th one. So that's why for them they are highly entrenched and the members have a common bond. So there is a need for cooperative education, for people to really read and understand the cooperatives. It's unfortunate that here we have not really invested a lot in a cooperative education. And that's why we have a challenge. And I want to urge government that let us invest in a cooperative education. Because, moderator, you see now the whole country is moving cooperative. You talk about the Myoga, you talk about the parish development model, talk about the Profira, the provision of the project for financial inclusion in rural areas. They were supporting circles. Talk about the youth livelihood fund, the women entrepreneurship fund. You know, there is a lot of money in this country that is going down to support the 1 inch, what the president calls them, the 1 inch, the small holders. A lot of money is going there. And we are very happy that the government adopted the cooperative model. But the challenge is adopting a model, but without building the human capital.
Now, that said, I agree with you because I've known a few people who have gone to do bachelors in cooperative have to fly out of this country. We don't have that here in Uganda. I stand to be corrected. Many, I think, go to Tanzania. Now, let's also understand, you see, you've said there's a lot of money that government is putting out there, and I agree with you. But this issue of cooperatives, let's understand how they work. I want to take you back, Ivan, about 7 years back, or 8, when this gospel of circles happened. President Yoweri Museveni moved all over the country, leave alone PDM, telling Ugandans, please have circles so that you can alleviate yourself from poverty. Now, politicians moved saying, form circles. Because I was really keen listening to what His Excellency. He was telling them, let's come together, join resources amongst ourselves, borrow this money we've put in a pool with little interest, so that when I take the money, I'm able to return the money with some interest, and someone can also do the same. Now, the message from politicians was, form circles and let government give you money. I saw a number of circles being formed, and people, because circles are cooperatives, waiting for money. Some didn't know that even you have to have what is yours. They are waiting for what government. Today we are talking of the parish development model, a very good initiative of a cooperative. But people don't know how it works. There is excitement, let's go there. There is money for government. How should a cooperative work? Let's go greatly to this circle, even before we go to the bank that is going to store this money. How should a cooperative work? You know, because we do not understand this giant, much as every money must go through it. We think a credit savings cooperative, government is going to give us money. PDM, Sente Zijja, Pillar 3, you know. But what? Let's open for people to understand this is what you should do, this is what is supposed to be done.
Thank you so much, moderator. It's a very wonderful question, and I think that is why I'm here. And I really want Ugandans to listen carefully. First of all, I want to thank His Excellency for the message. The message is very clear. And you cannot blame His Excellency, for him he has made it clear that the government going forward has to adopt the cooperative model. Now, it's upon the technical team to do the needful. It's like being a family head. I have my family. My role is to go, buy the meat, put it at home. What follows is none of my business. If there is too much salt in the meat, the family will not turn around to blame me. Me have done my part. His Excellency has been very clear, because he has done enough research. And even before then, the president taught at Mosh University. I studied at Mosh University. He taught at Mosh University. His room where he was staying is my resource center at PhD level. So he understands the cooperatives. And beyond that, he has done research on cooperatives. And he sees this is the model that is good for this country. Because go to America, go to Europe, go to Asia Pacific, go to Kenya here, our neighbors, go to Tanzania, cooperative model. It is the way. I don't want Ugandans, you know, the problem with Africans is just they run away from the truth. And they look at something which doesn't work, and they turn around and start blaming themselves. I want all of us to really believe in what His Excellency has mentioned, because this is the best model. I may not say that it is the only model, but it's the best model. If you are to develop or transform a country like Uganda,
how does it work is the biggest question.
Yes.
Because we seem to be at crossroads.
Yes.
Even when we talk about circles today, I was greatly going to the PDM. Circles today and the PDM. Even the leaders seem not to understand what is a circle. How should a circle work? Is it that we form for government to give us money? Is it that we must save and have something on our account? You know, all we hear is form groups, you know. Then you form a circle. Then the government gives you money, then you're out of poverty. Then return that money after a period of time.
Very much. You see, it is two-way, and that's what I was coming into. The challenge is two-way. The promoters and the adopters, they do not understand the cooperative model. I will tell you, in this country, you have mentioned something to do with bachelors, but we do not teach cooperatives in this country. You can imagine from 1963.
I've seen some people with diplomas.
From 1963, that is when the cooperative college was established at Bukarasa. And even before then, we had the cooperative education at Nsamizi in 1954. So from 1963 to 2023, we are still teaching diplomas and certificates at Chigumba and Tororo. I have also seen other universities which are trying, but I have looked at their curriculum. I have told you, I went to Mosh University to study cooperatives. From there, even up to there, I'm still there studying cooperatives. So cooperatives, it is wider. It is not something that you learn in one day and think that you understand the cooperatives. So the problem is that the promoters who are promoting it, I have told you, His Excellency taught at Mosh, he has done research. But now below him, do we understand the cooperatives? Or it is a matter of telling people, you form circles and we'll give you money. No, that's not the idea. Then now the adopters, we the Ugandans, when you hear that, when the president says, okay, form a circle, we do not follow the parameters, but rather we all run to get money. Cooperative is not about money. Cooperative is an ideology. Like I've mentioned, it is an association of persons united voluntarily to meet their social, economic, cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. It is based on 7 principles. The first one is voluntary and open membership. We have democratic member control. We have member economic participation. We have autonomy and independence. we have education, training and information, we have cooperation among cooperatives, and the 7th one is community concern. It is member owned, it is used, controlled and benefiting members, which doesn't match for us accountants. We have the legal entity concept where the shareholders form a company, then it becomes an independent person from its owners. However, a cooperative, the fact that it is member owned, we have formed the circle. Our circle, we are the controllers, we the shareholders are the savers, are the members, are the controllers. Unlike a company where you set it up, you set up a bank, the bank is in the public making a surplus. For us as a cooperative, the revenue is generated among its own shareholders. And that is the difference when it comes to taxation. So we have that challenge of cooperative education. I will tell you, Mosh Cooperative College was established in 1963. Same year as here, 5th of January.
Ivan, let's zero down to the layman. These dictionary explanations are very good, but for my people in Chegwegwa, my people in Kakuto and everywhere, membership, let's simplify it to a lay person. My people there who are waiting for PDM money, my people there who are in all these avenues we've talked about, please zero it to them to better understand it. That when I hear government saying, let's form a circle and get money, let's not just say 1, 2, 3 up to 30. We go, we register, and government is going to give us money. Then one government says these circles do not qualify. These circles have money on their account, but they can't withdraw it. When now government says they are going to establish a cooperative bank, now for us, how will we benefit? You know, so that we don't be like politicians. They have so much they say, leave the public confused, then they come and then nail government. Let's be an ordinary person in this discussion.
So ordinarily, for you to set up a cooperative, you are a group of people. Let's say you are journalists. Then you, within your work, you will find out that there is an enemy. There is a challenge that you need to sort out as a family. Now, let us think it is about savings. You are getting your money, but you don't have where to save this money. You want to develop, but you need some loans. But you cannot get this loan. Maybe your contract, your employment contract may not allow you to get a loan the other side, or there are complexities accessing a loan the other side. So you'll sit as the media people and then say, we have this enemy. What do we do? Let us come together. The Banyarwanda call it Mwijirane Chiramujanya. Mwijirane Chiramujanya meaning come together so that you defeat the enemy. Now your enemy is about savings and credit. So you come together, a minimum of 30, without anybody even interfering with your thinking. Your thinking is that you have an enemy. It's like a lion has entered here. Now instead of, now you know when a lion enters here, our plan, each will be trying to scatter. Now as we try to scatter, Kirabo, we say, no, Ivan, let's wait. Let's get other people. 30. I know we shall be strong enough to defeat this animal, which is now savings and credit. So you come together, have your meetings together. You know how these Kenyena start in the rural areas. Nobody tells them to start, like the women groups. No. For them, they realize we have a problem of savings and credit. I want to take my child to school, but I don't have money. I cannot go to the bank because I'm not educated. I cannot even write my name. But within our group, I can get money. Then once that group is formed with a common bond, you are farmers, you are whichever, then that is how you move. You mobilize your resources, you go and register, you start saving your little money, you start getting a loan, you pay back, and that is how a cooperative grows. The evolution of cooperatives globally, on the 14th of March 1761, in Scotland, the weavers were seated the way we are in this room. They were doing their work. Someone mentions, I have read the literature, someone says, but you people, this, from this process up to the final product, which is a piece of growth, it is very tedious. How are we going to achieve this if we don't work together? Then they said, yes, you are very right. How do we do it? They all started. Then they sat in one room. As one was working on the threads, the other one was working on this. So it was a process. That was the evolution. In 1844 in Rochide, the same other weavers, because weaving is a process.
Good history.
Yes.
But in the interest of time, let's not go so much into that. Now, you've rightly explained to a lay person what a cooperative is all about. Now, with that explanation, then comes in government, that we are going to give money. And I think sometimes this is very good, but where we go wrong, that the actual purpose of forming these cooperatives now was turned to there is money somewhere. And I think this explains why the Antandikwa and all this, because we didn't get the right foundation of why this should be formed. It was rather there is money somewhere, and this is a necessity for us, so that we can tap from that money. And when they get this money, then they won't put it in revolving fund. They'll chew the money because they won't have the actual foundation and understanding of these cooperatives. Now, establishment of the bank. I saw among many Ugandans who were happy when this came out was Ivan Asimwe. Why were you excited? We've had this bank before. It is something that didn't prove so good. We privatized it, and now again we are back to where we were before.
Thank you so much. Before I come to the cooperative bank, I want the viewers and the listeners to hear this. Let us not rush to form cooperatives because there is money coming. A cooperative should be there to solve a need. I also want to tell you,
the need is money.
Yes, the politicians. Let us invest a lot in cooperative education. You know, we have had meetings with the politicians, and they realize the mistake they did, because you are looking at sustainability. And where they have come to UCA, then things have worked. So you cannot say, even where we are now, we can reverse the trend in as long as we invest a lot in education for people to know. It's about PDM now. You know, PDM is based on 7 pillars. But you know, people are now focusing on the 3rd pillar, which is money, forgetting that it is an entire package of 7 pillars. So we now need to go down and sensitize the public for them to know that PDM is not about the 3rd pillar, but about the 7 pillars combined together for socio-economic transformation.
Actually, even if we had only one, even if we skipped pillar 3 of the 7, we would still succeed.
Yes.
Because we have increased production, creation of market, improved infrastructure. Why then would you need money from government? Because you have the markets.
Very good.
Then you can form cooperatives without government.
Very good. If you had all the rest,
yes, mindset change.
The 3rd one would be a catalyst.
A catalyst.
Just you have everything around you, then you now need a catalyst for you to move.
Yes. If I have my coffee, we have a coffee, we have a running cooperative, maybe we need to have a tractor. Then government brings in. But for some reason, as if it is pillar 3 only.
So it's about education. People need to education. I want to call upon government, let us sensitize people, let us put a lot of money in sensitization to change the mindset of not only these people on the ground, but even the implementers. They need to know this, because this is a model that really we need to put in a lot of efforts. Now, to the cooperative bank.
The cooperative bank, yes.
Very happy. Now, when you talk about the cooperative bank...
just a minute, please. Let me remind my viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion. This morning, the number is on your screen. Send me a WhatsApp message or a text message, and Ivan will be here to explain or answer your questions regarding cooperatives, and of course, well knowing that now this is the way to go, that government of Uganda looks at as one of the key areas of eliminating or bringing the 39% of Ugandans who are not in the money economy into the money economy, so that they can buy, they can produce, and also purchase services, and will be good to go. That is the number on your screen. Please send me messages, WhatsApp and the traditional SMS, and I promise you, I'll read them out and you'll get the answer. 7.
Thank you. You know, you asked me a good question, that why was I so excited last week? Of course, I was very excited because I know the value of a cooperative bank. I have done research in access to finance. I'm telling you, majority of Ugandans do not have access to affordable and appropriate finance. The money is here, The banks are so many. The social lenders are here. These are the cafoners. They are all here. But the challenge is affordability and appropriateness. Now, what the cooperative bank does is to provide affordable and appropriate finance, especially to the farmers. Because you see, majority of our people here in Uganda are into farming and in agricultural sector. And agriculture is beyond going to the garden. Agriculture is about the entire value chain, from production up to marketing. So we have very many Ugandans who are into that business. Now, how do we solve this problem? It is solved by creating a fund that is affordable and appropriate. And this is the cooperative bank. If you went outside there, you go to Europe, you go to America, you go to Kenya here. Kenya, a cooperative bank is a very big bank. And ideally, Uganda in 1964 formed a cooperative bank in this country, which was closed down in 1999 because of some issues. However, for us, we do not want to just remain lamenting. You know, there is a book of Lamentations. Then there is a book of Revelation and a book of Acts. I think we are past now lamentation. You cannot control lamenting when you lose a child. My child died, so what? You forget, come back, sit with your family, and continue producing. So, the time for lamentation is done. We all know that we had a bank that closed in 1964. Fortunately, we have worked, we have traveled, we have moved this journey with the government, with the partners, we have done research to understand exactly what happened to the old bank. And we have our findings, we even presented them to Parliament, and then I'm very happy that last week on Monday, it was a 6-hour discussion in the cabinet. How do we have a cooperative bank? And according to the minister, our minister who gave us a report, it is that the cabinet approved the decision that we need to have a cooperative bank. This is also a tick on the side of government, because government has finally realized that there was a mistake in closing the cooperative bank in 1999, but rather they should have sat as government to solve or to address some of the challenges that were there then, such that we have a cooperative bank. Because I want to tell you, it is very hard. I'm a farmer, though I'm here in Kampala, but I do farming. I have coffee, I have cows, I have bananas, 3 enterprises. But it is very hard to access an agricultural loan, what they call agricultural loan. Some of these banks will tell you, we are giving an agricultural loan. I want you to understand this, Mr. Kirabo. I'm a farmer. They give you money they give me money for agriculture. But before I even take coffee seedlings to the garden, next month I'm supposed to start paying. Is it an agricultural loan? That becomes a salary loan, because I am paying using my salary. So ideally, on paper it is agriculture, but in reality it is a salary loan, because I am paying. If I'm paying back using my salary, then there is no way you tell me this is an agricultural loan. An agricultural loan would be that loan that is financing agriculture, whose repayment is based on revenues from agriculture. So that is a challenge we are having. But the cooperative bank comes in to address that. For you people who understand how the cooperative bank worked, in the interest of time, you would go there and get what they called, they were calling it agri-financing or crop finance. You would go there, they give you money, you're a coffee farmer, and then you wait for harvesting. After harvesting, you take your coffee to a cooperative society. You know, the model was very perfect. Take the coffee to the cooperative society, they give you a receipt. A receipt was a cash equivalent. You would take it to a school. Then the bursar would record it as if it is cash. Then he would collect all of those receipts, take them to the cooperative bank for payment. Are you seeing the good model? What is happening today? People are selling gardens, not even coffee, but gardens. Before coffee is flowering, they have already gotten money. So the middlemen are moving around with their weighing scales. So he comes to you, Kirabo, you have your coffee, but you have not, it has not even started flowering, but you need school fees for your child. So what you do, you get advance from the middleman, and then you sign an agreement. When the coffee is ready, it will no longer be your coffee. It will be for the middleman. Irrespective of how many kilos he has harvested, he takes your coffee. That is why we have poor people in this country and in Africa. The problem is planning. We do not have that plan. So, and it all rotates around appropriate and affordable financing. If we had the money, it would be solving that problem. That is why circles were established. I want to tell you, in this country, these circles were established in 1970s when there was an economic crisis after the expulsion of the Indians. The traders within Kampala formed the circles that eventually created Ukusku in 1972. Then around 1997, I remember I was still at the university, Professor Kamuntu, Professor Kagonyera, and Uganda Cooperative Alliance moved across the country with the message of establishing village banks. That's why when you go to these old bigger circles, you find they still have signposts for village banks. Yes. Rubabo, Chamuhunga, Agaro, Moyo, they were all called village banks, which were later transformed into circles. The issue was Ugandans lacked access to finance. As you see, we had to sit down and think, how do we solve this problem? Let us support these people. And how it was working, it was about community mobilization and sensitization, not giving money, but mobilize them, let them understand that they have an enemy, and how do they solve this problem? It is through cooperation. Then themselves mobilized resources, established the circles. And I think based on that wisdom, the government now came in to support the cooperative ideology. And here we are. So we are very happy.
Here we are, and here we go to what our viewers have for you to answer. Good morning, UBC. Greetings to Mr. Ivan. Thanks so much for a good introduction about cooperatives. However, most of the politicians have actually diluted the cooperative principles. UCA, as the top organ, you need to do much to enhance cooperative education as you allude. Thank you a lot. I'm Mohanji Kenneth from Shema. Now, may I understand why the bank was closed? Well, you didn't give me your name. And I have Stephen from Soroti. Political leaders should listen to this, but not follow PDM so much when they don't know what a cooperative is. This idea would have been there before PDM. I was given out. I therefore appeal to have cooperative organizations. Thanks. Then we have, why was the cooperative bank closed? This has never come out clear. As talk of a new cooperative bank gathers storm, there are many souls which worry. Won't it also end up the same way? I have one. Good morning, UBC. Thanks for the show. And we are grateful to UCA as an apex body for the cooperatives. I am a farmer in Mbale under Masaba Cooperative Union, and you are talking about a cooperative bank that will help us. However, there is no business in this union. Can you help us as farmers, because we are going to lose out on this support from government? From Wesley Peter Bushenda, Mbale District. Let me, I think, have one last one. I want to thank our dear General Secretary for sacrificing himself for the cooperative. He is in the right position, and according to this program, he needs like a whole day to deliver on the same matter concerning the cooperative bank. So, in short, he is cheated in terms of time. I am a Kankwasa winning from Ntungamo. Well, first, thank you, BC, for giving him the little time you call little. Because where can he have such more? UBC gave me a Motale from Sironko. Thanks for the lecture. I wish government reinstates cooperatives like BCU, Busoga Growers, it is well. The messages are quite many. Let me do one or two from texts. I have from the WhatsApp message. Mr. Kirabo, thanks for hosting the gentleman who has given me full knowledge about cooperatives. I hope the government would first use that knowledge towards PDM. I am Odeya Yovan from Sironko. And in Uganda today, there are very many circles, but the model tend to confuse members in circles. Most people seem to be familiar to that is vals than circles. What is the difference between the two? I think I'll give this to Ivan. Vals, maybe it's a technical word in terms of view people in the cooperative movement.
There are very many circles, but the VSL is, yeah. VSL is.
So you understand that. Now, let's answer those questions.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to first of all thank Ugandans. You have seen, you have heard their responses. You know, Uganda is now ready for the cooperatives. Kenneth Mohanji, we worked together in the circles. I was a general manager of a circle for 8 years. He was also a manager of a circle. So we are colleagues. Wina Kankwasa was also a manager for Kajara when I was a manager for a circle. So we have been together. I've made now 21 years in the cooperatives. So we know, we understand the cooperatives, and that's why we are telling the government. We are so grateful with His Excellency and the government for promoting the cooperative model. But give us the opportunity to explain, give us the opportunity to teach Ugandans so that we can have this model working very well. I do not blame His Excellency, I don't blame the President. No, he has done his part as the head of a family by saying, it's like you saying, we want to construct a bigger house for the family. As a family head, you have done your part. Now, you put your money there, you bring an engineer, I want this house. And unfortunately, the engineer, this is a family house, he puts one room and he finishes. For you, you do not have made a mistake because your role was to provide funding, which is there, but the problem has been the engineer who has not put your concept on paper. So what we need now as Ugandans, let us work together to put the concept, to put the dream of His Excellency, who is the head of a family, on paper. Do it very well for all Ugandans to succeed. That's what we need. And what we need is cooperative education for people to really understand the cooperative. What is this called, the cooperatives? Like I've mentioned, and like you have heard, 1 hour is not enough. We need almost a whole day. Maybe cooperators outside there, you provide resources, they give us a whole day, we come here and teach Ugandans. I'm very happy with this national
Now, in the interest of time, already the national broadcaster has done that and given that time for you even to be here. But there was a message on VALs and cooperatives, briefly.
Yes, there are VSLAs, Village Savings and Loan Associations. These are the niggas I talked about. Yes, so for them, they are like babies, which finally are groomed into cooperatives. You know, cooperatives begin like that. You start informally, like in Scotland, 1761, it was informal until it was formalized in 1844 in Rochdale. Even in 1913 in Uganda, the first cooperative society, Chinakuria, was established informally. It was not registered until 1946, when we got the first cooperative ordinance, and then they started registering. So the VSLAs, really, they are like the pillars, the first pillars for cooperatives. So there is that linkage between the two. Now, people have asked about the cooperative bank. The cooperative bank, as earlier mentioned, which was established in 1964 by the cooperators themselves, because it was owned by cooperative unions, UCA, and the primary societies. In 1999, unfortunately, the company that was closed was a different company from the cooperative bank of 1964. You remember, I think you have even seen a letter from the Solicitor General. Solicitor General has written to Bank of Uganda to explain which company was closed. Is it the Cooperative Bank of 1964 or it is the Cooperative Bank Limited of 1997. No, there was Katemba, there was something a bit weird. That on the 20th of November 1997, a group of 7 people, I want you to listen, a group of 7 people formed a company which they called the Cooperative Bank Limited. Same name, same purpose, as the one of 1964. Then in 1999, I remember we learned this in Parliament. So when we raised this, and I'm very happy because Solicitor General has also raised the same question, the one that we are raising on the 4th of February 2018 in Parliament before Kosase. So when we raised this, Kosase invited Bank of Uganda. And the Bank of Uganda clearly mentioned that they closed the one of 1997. So, but Ugandans, fellow Ugandans, I've mentioned this. Let's forget about lamentations. We are going to lament until Jesus comes back. If we are to move forward, sometimes they say, forget the past. Forget about the past, start planning. Now that you have a good government, the security is there, the environment is conducive, government is promoting the cooperative model, let's forget about what happened. Let us learn, because we have done research, we have learned, we have seen what caused this. Let us learn from history and be better ambassadors in the future.
Well, time is flying, but good morning, UBC. From Chitigum District, this is Ojara Francis Jackson. The government intimates PDM without a clear structure. My question is, how can we avoid political leaders not to interfere with the cooperative societies? I'll just read through these for my brother. Then Comrade Asimwe Ivan, thank you so much for the knowledge. I have picked much interest in the cooperative movement. However, I want to know, with the establishment of the cooperative bank, will farmers be in position to get loans at relatively low interest rate? Oh, the messages are quite many. Then thank you for bringing the show closer to us. Ivan, zero down on that. Okay, there is so much messages, but of course we have so much coming up. Let me just have your final remarks. And
thank you so much. For the viewers, I really want to thank them. You have heard by yourself. People are really interested. People want cooperatives. Yes, the cooperative bank will solve the problem of affordability and appropriateness, because with it, it will be focusing on the small holders. If it is agriculture, they will give agricultural loans, not salary loans in the names of agricultural loans. And this is what exactly it was doing. If you went to Kenya, the Cooperative Bank of Kenya is exactly doing the same, providing loans, affordable loans to farmers. If you went to Netherlands, if you went to Germany, if you went to those developed countries, the cooperative bank, because you see, the cooperatives cannot be successful if there is nothing on top. So for them, let's say the circles, these unions, like someone from Masaba, they would be working very well if they had another pillar on top that is providing affordable and appropriate financing, so that the coffee farmers down here can easily access funding through the cooperative bank. That is how the model works.
Thank you so much, Ivan, and of course thank you, my viewers. We've had quite a number of messages coming in on this. Well, if time allows, maybe one day we'll bring him, like many of you said, we need more time. Thank you, Ivan, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank UBC once again. I want to thank the viewers. Thank you, Ugandans. May God continue to keep
Let me leave space for Ruben, who is coming in with sports updates. See you in the next hour. Good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available.